Is that taping? Oh, we're taping. Okay. So let's look at the help materials. So all of my worksheets, videos, they're all on myhaikuclass.com, and your login is Kawhi123, and your password is math. Okay. Now, when you get into the nursing program, do not use this login and password. Okay, so the other teachers use MyHaiku to store their files also. They want you to be enrolled as your name. So you're only allowed to use this name and password for my class only. Do not use this when you enroll in a nursing class. Everyone got that? When you're in the nursing class, you register under your own name. Don't use my name. Okay. Now, let's look at what that looks like. So let's share screen. Okay. So I'm going to type in www.myhaikuclass. And it's going to ask me to log in. So go in as Kawhi123. Okay. Now, we're going to click on TEAS. Again, when you get into the nursing program, do not use this login. Use your own login. Okay. Now, I have everything broken down by the chapters of what is in your TEAS workbook. Okay. So they have like fractions and decimals, word problems. I have them all sort of organized here. Okay. Now, it's a little overwhelming to say like, okay, so where do I start studying, Dr. Kawhi? What you want to look at is the what to study. Okay. Now, you don't want to work on every topic, right? So these right here are worksheets. So if I go, oops, I didn't show you, did I? Let me share. Okay. So let me do this. Let me do it this way. Did that do? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So this right here is a video. So if you click on it, a YouTube video will come up on how to convert fractions into decimals. Okay. And then I have worksheets right here that tell you fraction to percent fraction conversion. Okay. So then we'll go down to pre-algebra 7.1, and then you'll click on that. And you'll have the entire section that you would have had in pre-algebra. Now, if you want the solutions, you go down to the solutions manual for chapter 7. See, Gay 7, that's the name of the author, Martin Gay. Okay. So solutions. And that'll go through the solutions for chapter 7, 7.1. It'll actually go through the odd, and then it'll actually give you a little bit of the work. Okay. So you can walk. So what I would do if I were you is I would walk through the TEAS manual, and then the topics I don't understand, I'd watch the video, and then I'd do the worksheet, and I would go through all of this. Okay. You skip the ones that you know how to do. Okay. Now, when I get to the very bottom, I have a whole bunch of just YouTube videos that I've found. So, for example, this right here is a bunch of TEAS helped videos from from the um, from different companies that are doing exactly what we're doing in this workshop. Just having you get learn how to do TEAS prep. So for those of you who have trouble with reading, there are reading YouTubes here, and they just go through small little lessons of reading, science, math. Okay, and they're just going through, just like me, sort of the hardest little topics, and they're in small little snippets. Now, the one I would look at the most is this one, ATI. ATI is the one who makes the TEAS. Okay, so I would look at this one, and because this is closest to the TEAS, but there are other, like workshop series. So for example, this one right here, where people have taped in a much cooler fashion questions and answers. So each one of these are just kind of hard questions, common mistakes, things like that. Okay, that also show up on the TEAS. Okay, so on the bottom are these extra um, TEAS libraries that have already been created. No reason why you can't take advantage of them. So you know what you struggled with on in the most. So if it was reading, do the reading practice videos. Okay. Um, Same thing with science. If you're having trouble with science, then here's another one. Okay. So all of this material is in this my haiku class dot this myhaiku class.com. Now I got to please beg you, do not use my login and password when you get into the nursing program. They will yell at me, they will yell at you. Right? When you get into the nursing program, just use your own, create your own login and name, just like the teacher tells you. Don't use Kawhi123. Okay. Now, excuse me. Um, okay, so this is done. So let's look at your homework for today. Okay. So there are 3 homeworks I want to give you. Um, I'm going to put them in the chat. 1 second. And if anyone has a question, just chime in. Here we go. This is what I want. Okay. So give me 1 second. It's this one, and this one. Okay. So I'm going to put these files in the chat. Okay. I'm also going to email these files to you. Okay, so let me grab this. Okay, so let me attach these, and then we'll get to lecture. These. Okay. And you know what? I should have said something. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Let's share screen again. There we go. Oops. Give me 1 second. It's like that. Like that. Sorry about this. Well, okay. Let's share screen. Okay. Now make sure that you got them. So we have fraction, decimal, percent, do all problems. Okay. And
Professor,
then
I have a question, Professor.
yes, please.
I have a question. Could you send us email for your homework? You just send the chart. Because the chart when this workshop is over, the chart is disappeared. So I couldn't find this homework.
Oh, you just do it on paper, take a picture of it, and then email it back to me.
No. My question is, you just send the chart, the homework.
He also emailed it to us.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, and then give me 1 second. Do only irrational, rational, and real numbers. Okay. Give me 1 second, right? I'm gonna send you the solutions also. Give me 1 second. Okay. Week 1, and then let's go this, and then okay, so I sent the solutions on the previous one. So let me just go through the homework with you. Okay. So we're going to go through each one of these topics. So on this one, you're going to get a fraction, and I want you to convert it into a decimal and a percent. Okay. You're going to get a decimal. I want you to convert it to a fraction and percent. Just print this out and then take a picture of it, email it to me. Try to email me all the homework all at once so I don't have to like keep track of you did some of it. So please email me everything all at once. Is this the chart you're talking about?
My question is, if you send to a chart, you send to the chart is with now we workshop. Could you send to this one for email for us?
Yes, I sent it both. I sent both to both email.
Okay,
and I also
thank
put
you
it in the
thank
chat.
you so much. Is you send email, then we take the picture, or how to do this homework? Is we open you email?
Yeah, I emailed it to you. So you can print it out and then write in the answers, and then you take a picture.
Okay, we have to print out the right answer, that take a picture, then send to you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then send all the homework just in one file, in one email. Okay. And then tell me in the header that you are in the TEAS work. You're in the that this is for TEAS. Okay. So I don't have to guess what this is. Okay. Now, in terms of the ordering, so we're going to go through all of these. Okay. So this one we're going to order these numbers. Now, this does not have a solution, but you can check your answer by just using your calculator. So after you figure out your answer, use your calculator to find out whether you did it correctly. Okay. And then on this one over here, type some numbers. Okay. This is asking you for natural, whole, and integers. The TEAS does not care about natural, whole, or integers. It only cares about rational, irrational, and real. So only answer these 3 columns. I don't care about the rest. Okay. Now, again, something like this doesn't really require any scratch paper. You just look at it, you should be able to tell me. Now the answers are on the bottom. Okay. So I don't want you doing problems without checking it. Always check your answers. Okay. Always check your answers as you're doing it, so you're not practicing mistakes. Okay. Now let's get going. And then if anyone else has questions, just let me know. So just email me your homework before let's say Thursday, and we should be okay. Now, for each one of these lectures, I've actually done these before, and I actually have them in a YouTube playlist. So let me show you it. So if you ever get to a point where you're like, oh my God, I forgot what we did. Okay. Over here, let me put it in the chat. This right here will go through all 6 of our lessons. So I just taped a previous series and they're all right here. Okay. Now after this, because we're taping it, I will email this to you. Okay. So if you say like, I'd like to have a retake, just rewatch this again, it's all right here. Okay. Let's get going. Right. We're here for math and we're not here for administration. So let's first work on doing conversions between fractions, decimals, and percents. So if we look at fraction to percent decimal. Okay, so let's say I have 2 over 5. Okay. Now remember that this means division. So if I ask you something like, what's 6 over 2? You would probably tell me, oh, that's 3. And that would tell you, well, how did you get 3? And you would tell me, oh, that's 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. Okay. So in the same way, when I want to go from fraction to decimal, all I'm doing is 2 divided by 5. Okay. Now go ahead and use your calculator. Remember that you get a 4-operation calculator, right? Plus, minus, times, divide. Okay. So you get 0.4. Now, if you have a mixed number, you do the same thing. You ignore the whole number part. So go ahead and do that. So you get 5.05. And then let's do one more. I'm going to give you a negative number. So go ahead and do that one. So just know that this will be -7 minus the fraction, right? So all you're doing is the decimal part. And the integer part, you just copy over. 0.004 like this. Okay. Now, the next part is how do I go backwards? So if I have a decimal, how do I go back to fractions? So if I have 5.132, okay, what I want to do is I want to recognize the last place of my decimal. So this right here is the 10th place. This right here is the 100th. And this right here is the thousands. Okay. Now remember that we don't have a 1. We have a 1 here, and then we have a 10th, 100th, thousands. We start from 10. Now let's think about the word 10th. What does 10th mean? Okay. Now, if I was to ask you just in English, tell me what this is. You would say that is 1/4. Right? Fourth. This TH means divide. So this is really 1 divided by 4. 4, right? So the same thing is going to happen over here. We're going to have 5,132 divided by whatever the last digit is, right? The last digit is in the thousands. And then you just have to remember to simplify. So if I divide both of these by 4, you get 533 over 250. Okay. So let me give you another one. Let me give you -6 and 0.12. So you have -6, 12 over 100. Okay. Now let's simplify this. And we get -6, 3 over 25 like that. Okay. And the reason why is that this is our 10th. This is our 100th. Like that. Okay. So now we know how to go from fraction and then decimal to fraction. If anyone is lost or needs more time to copy, just stop me. Okay. So
I
let's
have
now
one
go.
question.
Yes, please.
Is this one is you look negative? I don't understand. I'm little confused. This one you use negative 7 1 over 25. This one is negative 7 minus. This is minus negative 7 minus 1 divided by divided 25. You say can I do negative 7 plus? No, plus is wrong.
Plus is wrong. Because if you
Okay.
go -7 plus 0.0, we remember this, right?
Okay.
-2 plus 5 is equal to 3. Right? -7 plus 1 is equal to -6. Right? If I have -7, if I owe the bank -$7.50, I owe the bank -$7.50. Right? That's -7 minus 1 divided by 2, like that. So if you want, you could just convert the decimal, convert the fraction to a decimal, and then just add the integer afterwards.
No, why? No, why you second one, first one and the second one is plus. First one and the second one is plus.
Oh, okay. So let's do this. Okay. So
First one, you look at first one, and second one is plus.
So let's look at it, right? So if we have 5, so let's think of this in terms of money. $7.25. Do we agree that's $7.25? So this is equal to $7 plus a quarter. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now let's look at the other way. Let's say you borrowed $7.25. Well, you have to give me $7 in dollar bills, and you also have to give me a quarter. So that's why that's -7.25.
Okay, thank you.
Is that better? So
Yes.
you owe me both this and this, right? So you owe me both 7 and you owe me this. That's why so the easiest way to do it is just say this is going to be a 7. If you made this a plus, you would get 6.96. And it's pretty easy to see that -7 and 1 over 25 is not equal to -6.96, right? Right? If you made that a plus, that's what would happen.
I got it. Thank you.
You got it? Okay. Thank you for your question. Okay. Now, let's look at going from decimals to percents. So let's say we want to go from decimals to percent. Okay. And this one is not too bad. Is wherever your decimal is, shift 2 to the right. So if I shift 2 to the right, this will equal to 23.4%. It's always shifting 2 to the right. Okay. So it's always 2. So go ahead and try doing this. And then go ahead and try doing this. Okay. So over here, we're moving 2 to the right. Now, if there's nothing there, we're going to put a 0 there. Okay. And then over here, even though there's nothing there, we can artificially put a decimal at the end and move it 2 to the right. Oh, I forgot my percent. Okay. Let's draw this arrow. So now we have decimals.
Professor, isn't that 5.30%?
Oh, yeah, 530%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, I forgot to tell you, unfortunately, I have something very similar to dyslexia. So every so often you'll see me miscopy something or misadd something. And if you go like, huh, that's weird. He's a math teacher. I can do math, but I sometimes copy wrong. So if you see me miscopy something, it happens. Just let me know, just like you did right there, and that helps me out a lot. Okay. All right. It won't hurt my feelings. People who take my class will just say, that's just the idiosyncrasy of being in my class. Is that every so often I'll miscopy something, misadd something, or mismultiply something. Okay, so now we want to go to percents to decimal. Okay, so now we want to go, let's say I have something like 5.2%. Okay, what we want to do is we want to shift 2 to the left. And if there is not a decimal there, you want to pad it with a 0. Okay, so go ahead and do 123%, and this do 0.3%. Okay. So we're going to move this 2 to the left, and we're going to get 1.23. The percent goes away. And then over here, we're going to move 2 to the left. 1, 2. So we're going to get 0.003, and then we're done. Remember, after we moved it, the percent is gone. Okay. Now, there's a reason why I wrote this way, because this is kind of weird. why are you giving me this left number and then writing the answer over here? Same thing over here. Why are we starting with this and then you're writing the answer over here? The reason why is that when you go from fraction to decimal to percent, so if they ask you to convert from fraction to percent, you go from fraction, decimal, and then to percent. If they ask you to go from percent to decimal, then you start with percent, convert it to a decimal, and then you turn it into a fraction. Okay, so the decimal is the middle point. Now, sometimes they will ask you to compare numbers. So I gave you one to compare numbers. So sometimes they'll give you, hey, compare numbers. Whenever you compare numbers and they give you fractions and percents, you always convert everything into decimals because decimals are the easiest thing to compare. Okay. Now, so let's do a problem where we go from fraction to percent and then we go backwards. Okay. So let's go. Is it okay if I erase this, or does anyone need more time to copy?
Yes, you can erase it.
I can erase it. Okay, thank you. Someone yell if they need more time. So let me start with the oldest stuff first. So let's go convert fraction to percent. Well, actually, let's do this one. 7/4 to percent. Okay. So you can just do 7 divided by 4 to go convert it to a decimal, and then shift the decimals, convert it to a fraction. Right. So first convert that into a decimal. Okay. So this turns into 7 divided by 4 is equal to 1.75. And then I'm going to shift 2 places. And I'm going to get 175%. Okay. Let's do another one. Convert -3/20 to a percent. Okay. So I have -3 divided by 20 is equal to -0.15. And then I'm going to shift 2 places, and I'm going to get 15%. Okay. Now let's do go the opposite way. Let's go percent to fraction. So first go percent to decimal to fraction. So this one right here.
Professor,
Please, how can I help you?
sorry, is that 15% or negative 15%?
Oh, negative, thank you. Thanks for catching that. Okay, now, the next one is, okay, so the next one is convert let's go with 12% to a fraction. Okay, so convert that to a decimal and then go to a fraction. So this one is 12%. We're going to move it over 2 places. And then we're going to get 0.12. And then this is the 10th place. This is the 100th place. So this is 12 over 100. And then let's simplify that. We're going to go divide by 4, divide by 4. And we're going to get 3 over 25 like that. Okay, now, where they trick you is in a problem that looks like this. Convert 5 and 1/3% to a fraction. Okay. So let me get everyone copy that so we can sort of talk about it. Okay. Now, on your, what I want you to create a list. Okay. Every time I tell you to star something, put it on that list, because this is one of those things that come up every so often. And right before you take your test, the night before, you kind of want to look at like, what are the common like weird tricks I probably wouldn't remember if I wasn't reminded right before I take the test. This is one of those. Okay, so this is one of those problems you want to put on the list right before you take your test, just to remind you that they do this question on the test. Now, let's talk about why this is an issue. If I was to convert this to a decimal, right, I would get 5 and 1/3% is equal to 5.33333%. And my prior technique as to just go to the very last decimal digit and then move 2, it doesn't work here because the 3's go on forever. Okay. Now this shows up every so often, so that's why I want to make sure you put this on a sheet. Okay. Now the key thing here is that percent, the word percent. Think of this as 2 words. Percent. How many cents are in a dollar? 100. How many years are in a century? 100. The word cent in Latin means 100. So this is per 100. Okay. Okay. So another way of thinking of percent is percent is equal to 1 divided by 100. So when you have a problem like this, you want to convert this to an improper fraction. So go ahead and do this, right? 3 times 15 over 1. Okay. So go ahead and convert that to an improper fraction. Okay. So I usually go in a circle. 3 times 5 plus 1, right? 3 times 5 plus 1 over 3. And remember that that percent is equal to 1 over 100. This is what percent means. You can just replace it with 1 over 100. So now I get 16 over 3 times 1 over 100. So I get 16 over 300. And I can divide the top and bottom by 4.
Professor, where you 3.5 coming from?
So which one?
Use a 3.5 plus 1. Where
Oh,
is the
3 times 5
3 times 5?
to get the improper fraction.
Why 3 times 5? Well, I don't understand this one. That's confusing.
Oh, okay. Okay. So give me 1 second. I'm going to answer your question second. Okay. So we get 4 over 75. Okay. So give me a second. I'm gonna explain that in a second. So everyone copy that first, and then let's talk about converting mixed numbers to improper fractions. And then I'll give you one of these to try.
Professor,
Mhm.
I got it.
Yeah.
it.
You
Thank
got it? Okay.
I got
It
it. I
just
got it.
popped in your head? Okay.
Yeah, figure
No
out. Thank
problem.
you.
No problem. It's stressful, right? And sometimes you just let your mind relax a little bit. It just pops in. So good. I'm glad you got it. So let's try this one. Convert 1 1/5% to a fraction. Oh, sorry. I should make that 6. All right. Go ahead. Try doing that. Excuse me.
I got 7 over 600.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see what we get. Okay. And then let's let everyone have a chance to try it. Okay. So we're going to convert that to a mixed number. So I get 1 times 6 plus 1 over 6. Oops. Plus 1 times 1 over 100. So I get 7 over 6 times 1 over 100. So I get 7 over 600. And that's it. Okay, so put a star on this one. It shows up on the exam. Okay. Now, just in case they ask you to convert that to a decimal, let's do that. So let's convert 5 1/3 to a decimal. Go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so this will turn into 5.3333. Okay. And then we'll move to decimals. So we'll have to pop a 0 there. So we get 0.053. And let's remember we put a bar over that. Okay. So the bar will signify the 3 is going on forever. Okay. Now, the next thing that people get caught on in this exam is types of numbers. So is everyone okay if I erase this, or do people need a second? Okay, I'm going to erase from the oldest stuff. If you need a second, just yell and I'll stop. Okay, and then if you haven't yet, type your name and email in the chat. So if there is an email that you like to check more than you check your student email, I will use that. So if you want to put that in the chat, I will email to your private. I'm glad to email to your private email.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes?
So 0.053 is the percent, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this was supposed to be percent. Yes. Sorry about that. Yes. Okay. So yes, you're correct. Now let's look at types of numbers. Okay. In the TEAS exam, they don't care about whole numbers or integers or anything like that. They only care about 3 things. Okay. Rational and irrational. Okay. So rational numbers. Let me erase it. Let me start it from over here. Okay. Rational numbers can be written as a fraction. So it doesn't mean that it is a fraction. It means that you can convert it into a fraction. So it could be a decimal that you can convert into a fraction. So, right, the easy ones, right, to know are, hey, these are fractions. That's a fraction. Okay. but something like 0.25 is equal to 1/4. So if I have a decimal that ends, right? This decimal does not go on forever. Okay. Or I can have a decimal that goes on forever. But it repeats, right? So even before I write that, let's say this is equal to 0.333, goes on forever. Okay. So a decimal that has a bar or repeats forever. Okay. Now it doesn't have to just be one number. It could be 5.2123 bar. So that's 5.12. Oh, sorry. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So more than one, a certain sequence can repeat forever. Okay, it doesn't have to be just one number, but at some point it has to be repetitive, even though it goes on forever. Or just regular numbers, 5, -7, 0. All of those are rational. So let me let you copy that. Okay. Now, this is the bubble that is rational numbers. Okay, they're a number that some way can be written as a fraction. Okay. Now, there's another bubble, which is the opposite of this, irrational numbers. Irrational numbers cannot be written as a fraction. Okay, so let's write that. Irrational numbers cannot be written as a fraction. Okay. So what are those numbers? There are numbers that look like a square root that cannot be resolved. So a square root of 4 would be over here because square root of 4 is equal to 2, and 2 can be written as a fraction. But square root of 2 here is equal to, oh, where's my calculator? One 1.414213562 ... So it's a number that goes on, it's a decimal that goes on forever but never repeats. Okay. So anything with a square root. So they can multiply a square root that doesn't resolve, or they can do a square root plus some number. Any square root that's not a perfect square root, and if you add it or multiply it, divide it, doesn't matter. Adding it, multiplying it, dividing it, squaring it, none of that makes it rational. It just stays irrational. Okay. So 1 is a square root. 2 is a number that repeats forever but never I'm sorry, a decimal that goes on forever but never repeats. So a lot of times on the test, they'll write it like this. Which is different from this because you see it repeating, whereas over here, you don't see it repeating. Okay. So here is number 1. Here is number 2. Okay. And number 3 are basically Greek letters. So if you have something that looks like pi, pi is equal to 3.141 ... Or E is equal to 2.72 ... And sometimes they may have tau, 1.6 ... Okay, so if you see a Greek letter, because this number has infinite precision but never ends, they give it a name, kind of like Prince. You know how Prince had that little symbol? These irrational numbers have a name, pi, E, and tau. These are the three that might show up on your exam. Okay. Now, what I tell students to do is don't memorize this list. Memorize this list. This list is way easier to memorize. Okay. So again, I'll put a little star here. This shows up on your exam where it'll say, is it irrational, rational, or real? Okay. And it's easy to memorize this list, whereas this list gets pretty long. So do I have a square root that doesn't resolve? Do I have a decimal number that repeats and goes on forever? Or do I have a Greek letter? Okay. So these are 2 separate groups. You're either rational or you're irrational on your test. Now, everything on your test is real. So no matter what, you always click real. So the group that contains both of these are real numbers. Okay. So on your list of things to look at before you take your test, that right there, right? Night before, remind yourself. 3 things. Okay. Now, I gave you some homework. Let's take a look at that homework. Okay, so let's pop that up and let's do some of them together. Okay, so this is the types of numbers. Okay. And remember, do all the homework and then send it to me. Don't send it to me in bits and pieces. Okay. Let me share a screen. Okay, good. Let's make this a little smaller. There we go. Okay. Now remember, we only care about these 3 columns, the last 3. Okay. So go ahead, work your way down. Okay. Now, no matter what happened, all of these are real. No matter what. Don't even have to look at it. On my test, I know everything is real. Now, remember that you'll never click on both of these at the same time. So any answer that says rational and irrational, cross out. Any answer that doesn't say real number, cross out. It always has to be real and one of these. Okay. So that has a negative square root, irrational. That's just a number. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's a decimal that ends, and that's a decimal that repeats. Now, this one, notice that I have 1 0 and then 2 zeros and 3 zeros. So even though there's a pattern there, it's not the same number repeating over and over and over, the same pattern repeating over and over. So that one is irrational. Okay. So that's just a number. Ignore that one. I don't think they'll give you this one. This one is nothing. So actually, let me erase that one. Okay. A number divided by 0 is undefined, so that's not a number. Okay. So pi is a Greek letter, right? And then this 0.634, it repeats over and over and over. Okay. Now this one over here is a little bit tricky. They're being a little tricky with you. If you use your calculator, this will be equal to 15. So that's actually rational because it can be resolved. Right? It's a perfect square. Same thing over here. This one is equal to 2 over 7. So that's a fraction. And then that's a square root, so it's irrational.
I thought 10 was irrational
Which one? 10?
on pi.
Oh, it is pi. I said irrational and then I clicked the wrong spot, didn't
Professor,
I?
I thought number
Yes.
7 was rational because it's repeating itself.
It's repeating, but it's not like 05, 05, 05, 05.
Oh, gotcha. I see. All
You
right.
got it. So there is a pattern there, but it's not it needs to be 05, 05, 05. Like the same number showing up over and over and over again. Okay. So does this make sense to everyone? So on your exam, this is a quick kill, meaning that if I know this, if I know those 3 things, I can knock this one out pretty quick. So let's take a picture of this. Okay. Okay. Now, the next one I want to work on, and this one seems to come up a lot. Okay. So let's look at your last homework. Okay. So let's look at this one right here. And let me share a screen with you. They seem to like asking questions where you estimate what square root of 2, square root of 17, square root of 11 are. They like to ask that. They like to ask it in different ways, like what number is this closest to? And they'll give you a bunch of options. Or they'll give you something like this, where they'll say, which number is bigger? Or they'll give you something like this, and they'll say, I have a square root, a decimal, and a fraction, and I want you to order these from smallest to biggest. Okay. So this is a good worksheet because this is something that kind of pops up. I'd be surprised if you didn't get one of these questions. I think you'll probably get. Okay.
I have
Yeah.
one question, Professor.
Yes, please.
Why is the 4.56? You know, just the table, rational and irrational.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Uh,
Let me share screen again. So let's go back to here. Which
number
number?
6. Number 6. Number
Number
6.
6.
No,
Oh,
why
okay.
is this one is rational number?
Oh, see how I have a bar there?
Uh-huh.
Anytime I have a bar, it makes it rational.
Okay, got it.
Okay, because then it repeats. So this one over here, see how 634? As soon as you see a bar, you know it's rational.
Thank you. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Okay, now. Okay, so this is one that probably shows up every so often. But if it does, you should get this one right. Okay, now let's talk about estimating square roots. Give me 1 second. Let me remind myself to send you the video also. Okay, now. Excuse me. What we want to use are square roots as sort of markers of where things are close to. So if I look at something like square root of 38, I don't know what square root of 38 is, right? But if I look at the perfect squares that are near 38, this is 36, and this is 49. It means that 38, it's in between 6 and 7. Okay, so what you want to do when you're trying to estimate a square root, look at the perfect squares that are bigger and smaller than it. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So we got a little bit of information over here. Okay. So I know that if you ask me about square root of 38, I know it's in between 6 and 7. Okay, let me give everyone a chance to copy. Okay. So if I was to give you, oh, by the way, on the square root worksheet, I don't have a solution key. So you'll just have to use a calculator to find out, to figure out which one is, if your answer is correct or not. Okay. Okay. Now, so when we look at this, if I asked you a question, which value is square root of 38 closest to? You had A, 5.2, B, 5.8, C, 6.1, D, 6.9, E, 7.2. Okay, so go ahead, write that. Okay, so let's look at this. So we're saying 38 is between 6 and 7. So the only two numbers I'm looking at is this right here. Right? Because 38 is in between 6 and 7. Now, the question is, which one is it closer to? Okay. Look. 38 is closer to 36 than 49. So if we were to look at a number line, we would say that this point is much closer to 6 than it is 7. So we would use this right here to tell me, well, it's in between those two numbers. So these are the two I'm considering. And from the one I'm considering, it's closer to the smaller number. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. Which value is square root of 98 closest to? Yeah, let's do that. Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. My boss called. And you always got to answer when your boss calls. Okay. So let's look at the perfect squares here. So if we're going to look at the number line, well, let me use a different color. So if we're going to use the number line, this is in between square root 100 and square root of 81. So this one is 10 and this is 9. And when we look at square root of 98, like where is 98 in comparison to 81 and 100? It's not near 81 and it's not in the middle. It's really close to 100, right? So if you're to estimate it, it's not perfect, but if you go like 98 is really closer to 100 than it is 81. It's really not in the middle. It's really close to here. Okay, so I need a number that's between 9 and 10, right? 9 point something. So that tells me it's this one. Okay, and the fact that 98 is closer to 100, I'm going to go with this one. Okay, so let's take a picture of this. Let's try another one. So let's take a look at this. Okay. Which value is square root of 26 closest to? Okay. So now we can look at square root of let's see, A, B, C, D. Okay, so I'm going to have 5.1. Oops, I'm sorry. 6.1, 5.1, 5.3, 4.0. Oh, wait. I did something wrong. Give me 1 second. 5 and that's not the one I want. Okay, I want put 35 here. Okay.
Five and three.
Let's see. You good? All right, I'm trying to trick you on this one. Okay, this one's not easy. Okay. So let's do the number line. Okay. So we have over here, we have square root 25. Over here, we have square root of 36. Okay. So this one over here is 5. Over here is 6. And then over here, we have 5.1. And over here, we have 5.3. over here, we have 6.1. So square root of 35 is going to be pretty close to over here. Right? So you can sort of see how these are all bunched up over here. Most likely, this is going to be closer to 6.1 because see how these are way far away on the other side of close to 5, whereas this is really close to 6. So in this case, it'll be 6.1. Does that make sense at all?
Yes, on a number line, yeah.
Yeah. So this one is really close to 6. So 6.1 is probably closer than all of these that are really close to 5. Okay. Now let's do something a little bit nasty. Okay. Now these two numbers are going to be very, very, very close. Okay. Insert less than, greater than, or equal to. I'm going to say square root of 30. Okay. And then this is 5.5. Now these numbers are really close. Okay. Now understand that this will never be equal. Because this is rational, right? It stops. This is irrational. So no matter what, it will be less than or greater than. Okay, but using this technique over here where you're kind of saying like, okay, I have my little number line. I have square root of 25. I have square root of 36. And then I have 5. I have 6. I have square root of 30. Crap. That's in the middle. And 5.5, that's in the middle. How the heck do I figure this out? Because they're both really close to each other. Okay. Now, the way you figure this out is you just square both sides. Right? Think about it. 4 is bigger than 3. If I square both of these, 9 is still bigger than 16. So the easiest way to figure out if you're doing like this and they're really close, you just square both sides. So this square and this square root, they cancel each out and I get 30. And over here, remember, you have a calculator. It doesn't have exponents, but it does allow you to do multiplication. So if one number is bigger than the other, when you square it, they stay big. So then this becomes square root like that.
Professor, can I ask a question?
Sure, please.
For the purpose of the TEAS and the purpose of time management, for this kind of question, can I just solve square root of 30, which would be 5.5.47722, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
And
remember, your
that-
calculator has only 4 operations. Plus, minus, multiply, divide.
the one that it's on, the one they provide on the screen, right, during the TEAS.
Yes, yes, there's
Gotcha.
no square root.
Got it.
Okay,
That-
so there's
that makes
no
sense.
square root when there's no square, and that's why we're putzing around with this. Otherwise, I'd tell you, you know what, square root the sucker and move on with your life. Okay, so let's do that. So let's give you another one to try.
Thank you, Professor. This is a very cool method.
Okay, good. All right, so let's give you another one. So let's give you okay, so let's go 6.5. And then let's go square root of 42.
Mm. 6.5 is greater than square root
Is
of
it?
42.
Okay, let's try it. We're going to square both sides. Okay. So we're going to square, and then this will cancel that. So I get 42.25, 42, so that's bigger. So yeah, you're right. Okay. Now, the next thing they like to do is they like to ask you to order these things.
Professor, can we do one more?
I'll say that again,
Can we do one more example?
like this. Okay, let's do one more. Okay. So insert less than, greater than, equal to square root of 7, and then 2.6.
Thank you.
Okay, is that better? Okay, so then let's square both sides. So I have square root of 7, and I have 2.6. So I get 7, and then 2.6 squared is 6.76, and this is smaller. Okay. Now, the other thing that they like to do is they like to ask you to write numbers from increasing to decreasing order. Okay, so let's go 5 1/4. Let's go square root of 38. And let's go 0.5. Oh, sorry. 5.9. Okay. And you know what? Instead of this one, let me put 21/4. I apologize. I know you guys copied. Okay. And then over here, let's do 40. Okay, so big number first, small number last. So whenever they give you a fraction, what they want you to do is they want you to convert to a decimal. Okay, it's a lot easier to convert decimals than it is fractions or anything else. Okay. So this is 5.25. Now, what I like to do is I like to pad it so all of my decimals have the same number of digits after the decimal. So it's easier to compare this and this, because sometimes you make the mistake where you go, this 525 is bigger than 59. And the answer is no. So I like to pad it with zeros. That way I won't make a mistake. Okay. So if you put this on a number line, okay, so let's make sure we put our square roots. Okay. So I have square root of 36. Oh, sorry. Square root of 25 is 5. And then I have square root of 36 is 6 over here. Okay. So my 5.25 is here. My 5.9 is there. And then my square root of 38 is here. And my square root of 40 is there. Right? It makes sense that this number is bigger than this. So when I square root both, that 40 will be bigger. So then this turns into, right, we go big to small, square root of 40, square root of 38, 5.9, 21 over 4 like that. Okay, let's try that again. Let me take a picture.
Professor, is there a way we could easily convert the square roots without the calculator into decimals there?
No, it's hard. That's why you kind of have to fudge it this way. So unfortunately, there isn't a great way. Now, if you wanted to compare 5.9 and 38, we could use the technique I just showed you where you just square both sides, right? You could use this if two numbers, if a radical and a decimal are close, you could use this to determine which one goes first, which one is smaller, which one is bigger. But unfortunately, there isn't an easy way of doing it. You actually have to use Calc 3, and it actually takes quite a long time to do it. Okay, so let's try another one. let's try 7/2, and let's try square root of 10, and let's try square root of 12. And then we'll say write numbers in increasing order. Okay, so this time I'm telling you go from small to big.
You actually just taught me how to do this very easily, like converting this into decimal, this square root. It's
Yes,
easy.
yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
thank
So,
you.
yeah, so go ahead, try it, right? So you're going to get the 3.5 here, right? So you know the square root of 10 is smaller. So the question is square root of 12, and then it's 3.5. That's the only question. Which one is bigger, which one is smaller? So go ahead and use this technique. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, so let's see which one is bigger and which one is smaller. I have square root of 12 and I have 3.5. Now let's square both sides. Okay. So we get 12 is, and then 3.5 squared. Let's see.
It's 12.25.
Oh, okay, thank you. 12.25. So now we know when we look at this that we have square root of 10 and that we have square root of 12 and then we have 3.5. So square root of 10, square root of 12, and then 7 divided by 2 like that. Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. In terms of the haiku, instead of using my password and us getting in trouble, I'm going to send you a link. So I'm going to do a bunch of things. Okay. I'm going to send you the email. Okay, I'm not email. I'm going to send you the video. I'm going to upload it in YouTube. So it's going to take me like an hour or two to do it. It takes YouTube a little bit. So I'm going to upload it onto YouTube. So it's now, it'll be available for you forever, right? You can just look at the playlist. I will send you the link to register into Haiku. So instead of using my account and me forgetting and getting in trouble, you can create your own account. It doesn't cost any money, but it'll, when you get into Haiku, it'll be under your name, not my name. So when you go into the nursing program, you can use the same account to access both. Okay. When you okay, so those two. I'm going to send you pictures of what we just did, and I will also resend the homework because I kind of sent it in 2 different blasts. So I'll reorganize everything that I sent in the morning. I was a little bit frazzled, and I'll see you guys next week. So before Friday, on Thursday, please email me your homework. On the top, say TEAS homework, and please put it all in one email. Okay? If you want to put multiple pages with one picture, I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay? Remember, I gave you answers to everything. Check your answers as you go. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question. You said you give our answer and the homework.
Yes.
Where?
The homework all has answers except for the one that does comparison. Just use a calculator to double check your answers.
Okay, you said we have to print out the homework, then do.
Yes. Print
Now,
it.
if we don't print out, we how to do your homework if we don't need to print out?
Sure.
Can
If
we
you want.
can we directly do the online, then send send to you?
Yeah. So if you just directly write it on a piece of paper and you don't print it out, take a picture of it, that's fine too.
Then send to you through emails. If someone doesn't have the printer, how to do your homework?
Just write the work on a piece of paper.
Okay.
I don't actually need, just say number 1, here's my answer. Number 2, here's my answer. Number 3, here's my answer. Oh, and I did a little bit of work. Number 4, here's my answer. I don't actually need you to actually print it. I just need to see that you did it. That's all.
Okay, is it send to you through email or through your phone number?
Never send it to my phone number.
Send through email.
Email, yeah.
Okay, thanks. This is the computer technician. So this for me, I don't know. For me, so difficult. This to now I have the printer, but I don't know how to use. I don't know.
Don't
use
worry
how
about
to
it.
use.
Friend. Don't worry about it. As long as you can open it up and just do the problems, I don't care.
Okay, but if I do after I do, how to send to you? I have to if I answer all of the questions, then I have to take the picture. I have to scan. If I take the picture,
Not scan
No.
it. Just take a picture,
uh-huh.
and then from the picture, you send it to me.
For picture, how send to you?
Okay, so let's do this. Let me stop recording here. Anyone else who wants to take off, you can